Hey guys, this is Frozen Wish Stews here, and welcome back to another video. And today is my birthday, so I hope you guys have already wished me a happy birthday. And if you haven't, go wish me a happy birthday either in the comments or in the live chat of this premiere if you are there and you haven't greeted me yet. So yes, today is a very special day because not only is it my birthday, but I am officially 21 years old. Yep, I am officially a legal adult now. So, in honor of my birthday, I can't have a birthday without making a birthday special video. And this one is going to be extra special because I am going to be giving you guys my top 10 favorite movies of all time, like in general. Now, yes, I did a top 10 favorite movies of all time list back in like in 2022 when I first started making YouTube videos, but then yeah, it's definitely outdated for dang sure. And I have been constantly changing my top 10 favorite movies off all time list. And my taste in movies has slightly changed a bit. Yeah, there was like that one point where my top 10 lists were all modern movies, but now, yes, there are some classics in it too. Yeah, so, but now the list that I've got, I think I am pretty dang satisfied with the list I got. This is the best I can come up with for this video. So yeah, anyways, without further ado, if you want to know what my updated favorite movies of all time list are, then just keep watching. But first, let's start off with 10 honorable mentions. Yep, 10. Yeah, arranged from number 20 to number 11. And my 10 honorable mentions are Star Wars The Empire Strikes Back, Spirited Away, Logan, Deadpool and Wolverine, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, Wicked, Elemental, Zootopia, Avengers Infinity War, and Interstellar. At number 10, Back to the Future. Yeah, the greatest Robert Zemeckis movie of all time period. Yeah, why can't Robert Zemeckis make a movie like this anymore? Well, I guess I should accept the fact that some of the greatest director of the past generation cannot do shit anymore. I mean, with Ridley Scott, yeah, at least, yeah, sure, Ridley Scott's another one of those directors who can make a comeback, but at least I might say Ridley Scott, despite Ridley Scott, being another one of those directors who has gone downhill similar to Robert Zemeckis, at least Ridley Scott still tries his best to redeem himself for every ton like Napoleon. There is Gladiator 2, which I defend Gladiator 2 if you saw my thoughts on it. Robert Zemeckis, on the other hand, yeah, he barely redeemed himself with here after that horrendous Pinocchio remake and The Witches 2. Yeah, here was real solid, but I miss this side of Robert Zemeckis, yeah. And I know people say Forrest Gump is the best Robert Zemeckis film because it's a Best Picture winner and the only Robert Zemeckis film to win Best Picture and all that stuff. But Back to the Future is his quintessential movie. And honestly, it's not even a competition. I mean, Forrest Gump it's not even on my top 100 favorite movies of all time list. Well, but it is close though. But yeah, what makes Back to the Future so good is that this is the game changer of time travel movies. Without this movie, we wouldn't have time travel movies today. And it is certainly one of the most iconic movies ever made. It is so iconic that this movie would constantly get referenced in other movies and shows like like Avengers Endgame, and where they use time travel as an inspiration as an inspiration from this film, and also as Stranger Things season 3 with characters watching Back to the Future in a retro theater and then having like them discuss it. Yeah, that is something. Yeah, it influenced time travel storylines and blockbusters today. It works so well as a simple story that aims to let its audiences have fun, all thanks to its fast pacing. The visuals are ahead of its time and some of the best that the 80s have to offer. The characters are by far and away the strongest aspect of the film because, I mean, the fact that they are so likable and so engaging is what truly made this movie entertaining. I mean, Barney McFly, George McFly, I mean, Lauren Baines, one of my biggest fictional crushes of all time. Yeah, Lauren, I love Lauren Baines. She is just, oh man, so good, so hot. And the film would also bring in some suspense too. It makes audiences anxious that Marty is not going to succeed in his goals. So yeah, extra obstacles would come in their way, and the fact that the audiences get worried that Morty is not going to make it with all these obstacles, it feels believable that it's not just there just for the sake of just oh no, suspense is there, yeah. And yeah, man, the chemistry between the characters, it's just amazing, and yeah, it's just brilliant. And for its time, it is original. Yeah, Back to the Future is my favorite movie of the 1980s. It is just a freaking classic right there. At number nine, the Lion King. Yep, the Disney classic and easily the greatest Disney Renaissance era film of all time. Yeah, The Lion King is is one of the greatest cinematic achievements of all time, and another one of the most iconic movies ever made. Period. There's a reason why this is one of, if not the most beloved Disney film of all time. Shame on the Oscars for us snubbing this movie for Best Picture. Just because it's a movie about talking animals doesn't mean it's not eligible for Best Picture. Like seriously, I mean, this is one of the greatest storylines ever told. Like a story about a prince who's about to become king and take over his father's throne, but then jealousy arises when when his evil uncle takes over the private lands by killing the former king, and the prince flees away and grows up to be free of responsibilities, but then must take his throne back. I mean, who does not know this story? Even if you haven't seen The Lion King, surely you would have like known what The Lion King is actually about. But in seriously, who the fuck has never seen this film? I'm sorry. If you have not seen this film yet, you are living under a rock because yeah, this movie deserves to be seen by everyone. Sure, I'll admit that I did not really grow up with this movie. This was not one of my favorite movies as a kid. I became a fan of this film like in the 2010s, the late 2010s. I became a true Lion King fan after watching the Broadway musical. Yeah, that is something. But yeah, this movie is just perfect on every single frame, with not a single millisecond moment that made me that makes you want to look away from the screen. This movie has such powerful life lessons to learn from your. Yeah, like to learn from your past mistake, no matter how painful it is, and not to forget who you are, because as Rafiki said, it's in the past. You either run from it or learn from it. Sure, the story has a similar concept to Hamlet, but as someone who has studied Hamlet and Shakespeare in college, this movie is not as much of a Hamlet ripoff as everyone says it is. So this is just only the basic part of Hamlet. But yeah, Hamlet is actually my favorite book of all time, if you're asking. And all the characters are so great that it's tough to decide on who my favorite character is. But either the young version of Simba or Scar or even Nala. All the songs are so iconic, and there's not a single song in the movie that isn't memorable to anyone. Hakuna Matata is the weakest Lion King song. I know people are gonna hate me for that, but I just think that Hakuna Matata is the least engaging song. But I love all the songs. Be Prepared will always be my favorite one, my favorite Lion King song, and it is the goat of villain songs. Period. Oh, and this is one of the most gorgeous 2D animations I've ever seen. Now, there are a lot of amazing hand-drawn animated films, so I'm not sure if this is the best looking one, but But damn, this is so good that it feels like a modern movie. Like, how the fuck is this a 90s film? Like, that is impossible. Like, they really achieved the impossible. Yeah, I'm honestly really miss that time that I really miss all the Disney love of back then. Now Disney's getting all the toxic hate in the world. And plus, Disney still makes movies like The Lion King, which you will see later on the list. At number 8, Avengers Endgame. Still the greatest superhero film of all time, period. Even if certain movies did try to top Endgame later on, I mean, I remember films like Spider-Man No Way Home, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, and even Deadpool Wolverine, they tried to dethrone Endgame as the best superhero film ever, but then Endgame would backfire right on its right. But Endgame would certainly backfire as still remaining the greatest superhero film of all time. And now here we are with both the Deadpool Wolverine and Infinity War being an honorable mention. And spoiler alert, yes, this is the only superhero film that makes my top 10 favorite movies of all time list. Sure, yes, there are some. There is still a shot for other superhero films to come that may dethrone this one. I mean, you got Avengers Doomsday, Avengers Secret Wars, and the X-Men reboot. I guess I really wanted this movie to be top because of how much I root for the multiverse saga, but I guess I just have to be patient and wait for the new Avengers films. But regardless, yeah, Avengers Endgame is certainly the crowning jewel, and this was the highest grossing movie of all time back then. Until Avatar got re-released, certainly well deserved. Endgame isn't only the greatest superhero film of all time because of how big it is. I know that's what people would think. They think that I'm just they think that I'm only calling Endgame the best superhero film ever just because it's massive in scale, which is not true at all. Not true at all. It even has noticeably a slightly weak, smaller scale than Infinity War. Yet it is the superior film overall. It's the best superhero movie ever because of the impact it has made on not only me, but on the audiences as well. The cliffhanger ending for Infinity War truly set the stakes for this film as our heroes must overcome the loss and pain. The film's story has a perfect three-act structure with the first act being our remaining heroes who went blip deal with the loss, who words blipped. The second act being the strategy to turn things around, which is the time travel, and the third act being the grand final battle, which is one of the biggest and most ambitious final battles ever put to film, period. It is a slow burn, but for a good reason, and it never made a movie boring. In fact, this movie is so rewatchable. That's why it's the greatest superhero film of all time. That's one reason why, because it has such a high rewatch value to it. Even if the film doesn't have as much action scenes, it still is entertaining because it is so rewatchable. And what else is there to say that hasn't been said yet about the final battle? Truly the final battle of all final battles. The greatest final battle ever made. Or maybe at least one of them. In fact, it is debatable if that final battle is the greatest final battle ever put to film, period. And yeah, and it sucks to see that this movie is getting a lot of unnecessary hate just because of how successful it was. Like, come on, people, stop hating on movies that are a success just because your movies are more quote unquote artistic, made less money than this. You're all just jealous. And people, stop saying Marvel's not cinema. Endgame is cinema. I don't care what anyone else says. This movie is cinema right here. Yeah, I am sick of everyone calling this movie overrated. It's not overrated. Yeah, fuck the Marvel hate, by the way. At number 7, The Godfather. Yeah, I'm gonna make this movie an offer it cannot refuse. Yeah, I know this movie is being on the list. It's kind of a surprise. I don't think you would have expected to see The Godfather in there, considering the kind of taste I have. I will admit that it did take me a while for me to realize that Godfather truly is one of the greatest movies of all time. When I first watched it, I always loved Godfather in the first place, but I've never really recognized this as one of the greatest movies of all time. But then last year, a year ago, in my New York trip, during my New York trip on the plane, I sorry, drop something, but I rewatched this movie on the plane, and and after rethinking about it and rewatching, giving it that one rewatch, I came to the realization that it truly is one of the greatest movies of all time. And if you think that it is the best movie of all time, then I don't blame you. The Godfather, when it comes to objectively well made films, it is maybe arguably the best one. This may arguably the best one. I mean, I've always understood the impact it made towards many lives. It was just recently when I jumped into the bandwagon of just Godfather being one of the greatest movies of all time. Yeah. Sure, drama is not one of my personal favorite genres, don't get me wrong, but I have never seen a drama more engaging than this. Easily the greatest drama film of all time, and also the greatest mafia film of all time. It's no question. The movie immediately sucks audiences in from the brilliant opening monologue, I believe in America, and so on and so forth. And the movie never slows from there. Is it a slow burn film? Yes, it is. But it never, similar to Avengers Endgame, the slow burn, it never takes me out of the film. It never took me out, and it's never boring. I mean, it's slow because it's a drama. It's more dialogue driven, but it is a perfect showcase of how people talking a whole 3 hour movie of people talking can be just so engaging. The movie is a perfect showcase for that. The story is one of the best ever told. It's so gripping, tight, and brilliant. It has heavy themes of family, greed, corruption, etc. It is a story that makes audiences think. For a film that's 3 hours, runtime certainly flows by, and it's easy to rewatch it. Francis Ford Coppola brilliantly directs the hell out of this one. Gorgeous cinematography, amazing score, and some of the greatest performances ever put to cinema. This is one of those films that truly defines what cinema is, and it has one of the greatest dialogue ever put in film too. With some of the most iconic lines ever, like, "I'm gonna make him an offer he can't refuse. Take the gun, leave the cannoli," and my favorite one, "Look how they massacred my boy." And you got Marlon Brando, Al Pacino, James Caan, Diane Keaton, Talia Shire, Robert Duvall, etc. And also the underrated Simona Stefanelli. All amazing performances, yeah. I can't even decide who my favorite character is. It's either Vito, Michael, Apollonia, or Connie. Oh, and also this movie has some entertaining sequences as well, like Connie and... I forgot the name of Connie's quote-unquote... Oh, Carlo, yeah, sorry, Carlo. Like, that fight between Connie and Carlo, oh my goodness, what an amazing, fight that was. So, yeah, what an amazing, movie this is. It's just brilliant. And the fact that I have this on my top 10 shows that I really am a professional critic. I'm not making this shit up. I really am. I'm sick of people telling me, "Oh, you're not really a real critic." People, just because I have controversial opinions, that does not mean I'm a fake critic, and I shouldn't be one. At least I know how to actually judge movies and make good points. So yeah. At number 6, Inside Out 2. Yeah, the best movie of 2024 and the best Pixar movie ever made. Yeah. What a mind-blowing masterpiece Inside Out 2 is. I have never really been more shocked at how good a movie is than Inside Out 2. Well, maybe there are some, but Inside Out 2 just shocked me, just based on the fact that this is ended up being one of my favorite movies of all time. And even on rewatch, this movie certainly still holds up. Yeah, sure, I was always been hyped for this film, but just the level of impact it made on me, yeah, it sure as hell did make such a powerful and strong impact. Yeah, this yeah. Yeah, surely. Yeah, this movie is so relatable. Yeah, I don't know if I've ever seen a movie more relatable than this. Maybe except another a certain fictional character from a movie I'm about to mention later on being more relatable than this film. But yeah, it is certainly relatable. Sure, yes, the movie does have similar elements to this than the first film. It does share similar elements, but the movie executes itself better because you know why? It feels more real. It feels more genuine. More genuine. I mean the fact that the Disney and Pixar did their research by interviewing teenagers about their experiences with a new school, about anxiety and all that stuff, different emotions, what puberty feels like, and what friend separation feels like. Those are what the elements they use to provide the arc for Riley in order to make her just so realistic. And that's what I love about Riley. That's why Riley is one of my absolute favorite characters of 2024. That's why I'm kind of I love Riley. Yes, yes, of course I don't simmer her. I know she's 13. I know my limits. But I love Riley because she is just so well developed and she is so realistic. She is very realistic with her character. She just feels real and genuine, and also other characters as well, like Bree and Grace, being just great friends to Riley, and Val being one of the hottest fictional characters ever put to film. Like I cannot comprehend how hot Val is. And people, Val is not underage, by the way. I know she's 18, so shut the fuck up if you're gonna say, oh, Val is underage. And this movie is obviously far superior to the first film. In fact, it is so good that it made me forget about what even happened in the first film. That's how much I adore Inside Out. Andrea Dasman's score, one of the greatest animated scores ever. Better than Michael Giacchino's score in the first film. How is that even possible, by the way? And the film has one of the greatest messages ever put to film. Message that no one is perfect. The negative descriptions about you is a part of life, and as much as your positive descriptions, you have to embrace the flaws of yourself. That's how you develop as a human being. This movie just feels so raw and so human. It is so grounded, and it is also very emotional as well. I mean, the Riley wants you scene where Joy revives the council. How is that the console? I mean, how is that not emotional? Like that is just one of the most beautiful scenes ever put to film. Period. Yeah, this is certainly the Frozen 2 of Pixar, and yeah, just this. I'm very proud to call this my favorite movie of last year. It deserves it, and it rightfully deserves a spot in my top 10 favorite movies of all time. But now, people, we are getting into the top 5. At number 5, Inception, the best Christopher Nolan film of all time. Period. Christopher Nolan is the greatest director of all time, period. And this movie just proves it. Now, yes, I know I go back and forth between this or Interstellar as my favorite, and there is a chance that Interstellar could actually dethrone this as it's thrown as the best Nolan film. Like, that's actually why I put it as number 11. Right now, I don't really see it as a top 10 favorite movies of all time list, but maybe that could change because I'm about to because on Sunday, guys, I'm going to be rewatching the Interstellar re-release in IMAX. Yep, it's going to be an amazing birthday movie for me, and yeah, and all that stuff. So we'll see how maybe the list will change. But for now, Inception is my favorite Christopher Nolan film. What makes Inception my favorite Christopher Nolan film is just the rewatch value. I'll admit that Interstellar isn't quite as rewatchable as this film right here. But yeah, this film, like, it is one of the most brilliant films of all time. And this has always been one of my favorites ever since I saw it for the first time. Maybe not all the time I had this in my top 10, but when I first rewatched, when I was first introduced to this film, it immediately snapped and became among my top 10 favorite movies of all time list. In fact, guys, this is the movie that made me a cinephile. This is the movie that inspired me to just view movies in different lens because of just how brilliant it is. The story of this movie is very complicated, so confusing, and so mind fucking confusing that it requires rewatches after rewatches in order to fully understand the story. Now I completely understand the story, and once you actually get to give this movie like all those like multiple rewatches, you get to realize that this movie is actually secretly a simple story. It just takes brains for you to figure it out. Oh my god, oh my goodness, Nolan is a genius. Seriously, he could actually be the modern day Albert Einstein. Like, he is arguably the greatest storyteller to ever live because of just how brilliant his story is. But above all else, he really is able to enhance the spectacle in this film. The spectacle and ambition that Nolan brings to his films are just that cherry on top to just how good and brilliant his writing is. The characters are amazing in this one, with Ariana being my favorite. I know people say that Nolan doesn't know how to develop his characters, and people criticize his film for not having any character development. Yes, there was character development. Did you pay attention to the characters? And Ariana wasn't just a walking stereotype, just there to ask questions. I think Ariana is such a misunderstood character. I mean, she built half of these dreams that were represented in the film, you know. She may be arguably the smartest character in the film, but of course, people just don't know that because she's just a hot chick college student, and blah, 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 yeah. Hans Zimmer's score for this film is one of the greatest scores of all time. Should have won Best Original Score over the Social Network score, as great as that score is. Ariane, there are so many amazing scenes in this film that could be like truly iconic, from the ending with Cobb returning home to Ariana building her very first dream to the hallway fight. Hallway fight is the best scene in the film, and it's just so rewatchable. And the fight scenes here, some of the greatest fight scenes of all time, and the visual effects are so good that Christopher Nolan. I mean, I'm sure everyone knows that Christopher Nolan prefers to shoot his films on set and not on a green screen, because Christopher Nolan hates green screen. The fact that the movie, all of this could have been shot on green screen, and yet it is. We got to see. I got to learn about the behind the scenes of this film, and the fact that Nolan did it all. It's just outstanding. Just wow. So yeah, honestly, I would have loved to see this film win Best Picture. I think it could have been a Best Picture winner. Screw you, King's Speech. I like King's Speech, but come on, that should not have won. I mean, you got films like The Social Network and especially Inception. So yeah. I mean, I'm overjoyed Nolan finally got his win, but is it only? I bet it's only because it's a drama, and Oscars just hate action movies. Well, at least an action film won Best Picture, and at least some action films won Best Picture, and I'm about to talk about two of them in my fourth and third spots. At number 4, the Lord of the Rings: The Return of the King. Yeah, a movie I reviewed very recently, so I'll probably be brief in this one, but Return of the King is one of the greatest cinematic achievements ever, period. And it almost ended up being my third favorite film of all time, and almost my favorite live action film of all time. But my favorite live action film of all time is number 3, and this is number 4. Yeah, this, out of every movie I've seen, I don't think there has ever been another movie that is bigger and more grander in scale than The Lord of the Rings: The Return of the King. This movie started to become one of my most rewatched movies ever, and for good reasons. It's crazy that this movie is just so rewatchable because of how it's a 3.5 hour film, but 3.5 hours well deserved. I mean, this is the biggest, most bombastic and grandest, most epic film ever made. The battles of this in this film are so huge. I don't think any other battle scenes in other films can match this one right here. It is no other film movies have yet to reach the level of scope of this film. Even if other movies try, like Endgame and Dune Part 2, this movie is still on top. And 3/4 of this film is basically non-stop action. And I know, yes, people would usually call non-stop action movies overrated. Some people don't like that, but the fact that everybody loves this film is just saying something. But you want to know why everybody in the world loves this film? Because it's not just action scenes after action scenes. Yeah, the reason why films like Mad Max Fury Road are considered overrated, and even John Wick, is because they're just action scenes after action scenes with, well, according to them, it's just action, and they have little time to breathe. But this one, they do have time to breathe. They had the first 1 hour of characters breathing and story that they're telling before they get to all the big battles. The battle scenes are just incredible, especially the Eye of No Man scene and the for Frodo scene, the Minas Tirith the Charge of Minas Tirith scene. Oh my goodness, like this, I cannot just imagine a movie like this. I'm sure we'll get one, but movies aren't ready yet. And it also has a lot of heart too, and things I love about it on a personal level. It has its emotional impacts too, especially in the end. And this is a perfect way to be a movie finale, to arguably, to probably the greatest trilogy ever put to film, period. And I think this is the greatest conclusion to a trilogy ever, period. And this movie is why I'm a huge Middle Earth fan. Middle Earth is right up there with the MCU and the Frozen franchise as one of the greatest franchises of all time, period. So at number 3, Everything Everywhere All at Once, my favorite live action film of all time and my favorite Best Picture winner ever. I don't think you guys expected this movie to be in my top 3. I think this probably would surprise you big time. But there's a reason Everything Everywhere All at Once is among my top 3 favorite films of all time. And yes, guys, this is officially dethroned the Avatar: The Way of Water as my favorite movie of 2022. And the signs were all there that Everything Ever All at Once was actually one of my favorite films. I wish I saw it coming sooner. Because, back when the Oscars were out, back in Oscars 2023, I was rooting for this film to win Best Picture, mainly because it's probably the most Oscar-worthy movie. And in the same category as Top Gun: Maverick and Avatar: The Way of Water. I just thought that this movie was worthy to win Best Picture. I didn't think that Avatar 2 and Top Gun 2 were the types of movies to win Best Picture, but I should have known that deep in my heart, I actually love this movie way more than I thought. And also, I had this obsession with Stephanie Hsu for being like the best part of this whole film. And also, when she... I was overjoyed when she got nominated, and even other people were overjoyed to see Stephanie Hsu win best, not win, but get a Best Supporting Actress nomination, which she should have won. What I love about this film on a personal level, by the way, this is based on my love for this film is more personal than just the fact that it is a Best Picture winner. It perfectly combines both art house filmmaking and blockbuster spectacle into this bold and ambitious flick. The visuals are absolutely outstanding, and the action scenes are exciting. The performances from Michelle Yeoh and Ki Hui Kwan were well deserved of an Oscar win, but it's Stephanie Hsu that stands out from the cast, and she will always and she it will always be my favorite character in the film. Stephanie Hsu is among my top three favorite actresses of all time list. Yeah, I absolutely love her, and Joy Wong is probably one of my favorite fictional characters ever in a film. She is arguably the most relatable character ever. Now, I'm not talking about Jobu Tobaki, of course. I'm not like Jobu Tobaki, but just Joy Wong as Joy Wong, not Jobu Tobaki. She has very similar personality to me. The mother and daughter relationship between Joy and Evelyn, very similar to the relationship I have with my mom. It's very identical to that. I also have very similar weight to Joy Wan, and Evelyn calling out Joy for being fat and saying that she needs to lose weight. That's what my mom always tells me, like, oh, you're getting fat, you need to lose weight. Yeah, she tells me that, and it's and also the fact that I have a hard time speaking in my own local language. Yeah, guys, a fun fact. Even if I am Filipino, I do have a hard time speaking in Filipino. I think it is quite difficult, even if I'm improving. Joy Wong has a very hard time speaking in Chinese. So yeah, that's something I admit. But yeah, above all else, this movie asks the philosophical and ethical question: does everything matter, or does nothing matter at all? Like it is a film that asks so many deep philosophical questions about it. Like, I think the title of this film really sums up the kind of film this is. It's everything, it's everywhere, all at once. Like, there is so much here, so much wackiness, so much goofiness, so much weird stuff in it, so much things to process about. But above all else, it's a relatable, heart wrenching, emotional, impactful, deep film with just the action for the cherry on top. This is A24 at its most peak yet, and yeah, I've never been more proud to praise a movie this much. Yeah, I think everyone knows that by now that my two favorite films of all time are animated, but I have never been more proud to consider Everything Ever All at Once as my favorite live action film of all time. Let's see if you can top this, Avengers Secret Wars. At number 2, Wish. Yep. I think by now everyone knows this and my number 1 pick. So, I mean, yeah. Wish is the most underrated movie of all time. I will never ever understand that all the unnecessary hate that this film has been getting. Like, seriously, this is the film that celebrates Disney's 100th anniversary. It's a film that that is a culmination of all things Disney, a celebration of what Disney has achieved, and a love letter to Disney. And yet you all treat this movie like shit. Some people I've even heard people call this the worst anime movie of all time. Are you fucking high? You think this is the worst anime film of all time? Have you seen Despicable Me 4? That is the true worst movie of all time. Seriously, yeah, I am proud of Disney for actually making this. I don't care what anyone else says. I think Disney really did put their blood, sweat, and tears into making a 100th a movie that celebrates Disney's 100th anniversary. They really had to go all out and create something special, and they certainly did. Sure, it's full of Disney Easter eggs and references, but they don't make it way too obvious. What really makes this honor Disney's 100th anniversary is a narrative. It is a narrative that you'd find in a Disney classic, and out of all Disney movies you can think of, this screams Disney the most. Asha is one of the greatest Disney protagonists ever put to film, and King Magnifico is one of the greatest villains of all time. I mean, he is so menacing. Like, in the third act, when King Magnifico becomes truly evil and takes over Rosas, he really threatened. He really was threatening, so much so that it actually gave me chills and goosebumps. The animation is a game changer. I mean, I'm so happy that Disney got on board jumped into the comic book style animation, because this easily has the best looking comic book style animation I've ever seen. Seriously, people, how come every time a non Disney animation studio makes a comic book style animation, you immediately praise it, but then when Disney does it, y'all hate this one? First Wish, and now another. This is with Disney's second attempt at using this style for the upcoming Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. Y'all, people also give that film a lot of shit and a lot of unnecessary hate. Like, seriously, I think this needs to stop. Yes, I will make a video defending Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man and why it doesn't deserve all the unnecessary hate. The songs are all perfection. All the songs are so memorable and so catchy, with my favorite being knowing what I know now, knowing what I know now. Yeah, that song just gives me chills every time I rewatch it. It always gets stuck in my head. Oh, and also this Wish reprise is tied with Knowing What I Know Now as my favorite Wish song, and the ending made me bawl like a baby. Yeah, this movie really made me emotional, especially the first time I saw this. This movie, it is one of those films that that holds close to my heart. Yeah, it is it is just wow. This movie is perfect. I will never ever understand the hate this film gets. And yeah, this is arguably my favorite original film of all time. It's probably my favorite original film ever made. Period. But yeah, you all know what's coming. Y'all know what's coming. And my number one favorite movie of all time is Frozen 2. I mean, you all know why Frozen 2 is the greatest movie of all time. You all knew that. Like, seriously, is there anybody on this planet who didn't know that Frozen 2 is my favorite movie of all time? Sure, yes, it's a sequel. It's a sequel that you people think is a cash grab. It was only made just because the first movie made money, and you're just going to say, oh, it's just a cash grab, blah blah blah. Well, I don't care. I don't care. I think Frozen 2 will always be the best movie of all time. The only movies that will dethrone this as my new favorite movie of all time is Frozen 3 and Frozen 4. But that's fucking it. There's so much to digest in this one, from the deep and mature storytelling that's actually so original, even for sequel standards, to the best and most photorealistic animation you'll ever find in film. Period. The greatest characters of all time, especially Anna and Elsa. But technically, I will admit that I do prefer Asha slightly more than Elsa, but Anna is number one always. They're also very relatable. I mean, I highly rate Kristoff a lot, especially since me and Kristoff both love Anna. I mean, Kristoff is the goat of male characters. To one of the best villains of all time, King Runard, and just the ideas this film had for King Runard it's just brilliant, and it has the greatest movie soundtrack of all time. Period. Especially the next right thing. It is a film that it is truly a part of my life. Sure, I'll admit that I was not expecting this to be my favorite movie of all time, but let me tell you a story on what makes this my favorite film. Like, why this movie is part of my life. Aside from all the amazing quality that it has. Firstly, when I first saw this movie in theaters, I was already blown away by this one. I consider this as the best animated movie ever made since Lion King, because Lion King was my favorite movie back then. Lion King was my favorite movie of all time. Like back at that time, it is just an experience, and the more I thought about it, the more the more I thought about it, yeah, the more it eventually became my favorite movie of all time in sometime in 2020. But without this movie, I wouldn't be the person I was today. Without this movie, I wouldn't have made all my friends who are Frozen 2 fans. And even if they, you know, even if they betrayed me, I still kind of hold them as like, uh, I mean, I will acknowledge those users who betray me. That I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for them. I wouldn't be the person I was without Frozen 2. I probably without Frozen 2, my life would have probably been different. But I'm here now. I mean, even if sure, I mean, hate me all you want, but I am proud of who I am on this internet. And not that I'm a bully. I'm sorry, no, I'm just a misunderstood person. But I mean, regardless, yeah, I mean, Frozen 2 made me the person I was today, and yeah, and I wouldn't have made all those friends. I wouldn't have gone Instagram, and yeah, and this is why Frozen 2 is my number one favorite movie of all time. So also for my top 10 favorite movies of all time list, what are your favorite movies of all time? Yeah, and yes, guys, once again, if you haven't wished me a happy birthday yet, please do so. Comment down below, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and stay tuned for more videos to come. I have no idea what my next video is yet, but I'm just going to continue on with my Frozen Awards 2025. So yeah, bye guys.